Hey y'all, welcome to Starting Roll this week. I am here with
Felicia Day.
Felicia. Where would people have seen some of your work?
They may have seen me as an actor. I've been on Supernatural, and back in the day I was on Buffy.
You might know her from the internet things.
Oh yeah, I did The Guild and Tabletop and The Flog and a ton of them. Way too many.
But today, we're going to be talking about a board game called Small World. Hey Felicia.
Hello.
Welcome to Starting Roll.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You know, here we are, talking about board games and nerddom things.
I mean, I think I'm pretty well versed in those things.
I think so too.
I think I can hang on.
I think so. You've got a lot going on. You've got a podcast going. You're releasing another book.
Yep.
What else? I mean, you've got a whole litany of things.
Yes, I'm working on a bunch of writing projects I can't talk about. I have an acting project coming up that I can't talk about. So, and then I'm doing all this press for the book, which I'm excited about, but it is like, yay, I need to sleep.
Well, what's the book about? I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, it's called Embrace Your Weird, Face Your Fears, and Unleash Creativity. So, I don't know about you, if you've done any self-help books in your life, but they've really gotten me through some tough times in my past.
Sure.
And I was kind of like, as I was kind of emerging from kind of being in a cocoon for a little while, I was like, oh, let's do one of those self-help books. And yet they didn't really connect with me because they were, there's a lot of spirituality, a lot of new agey stuff, a lot of lecture-y stuff. And I was like, this is not my style. So I was like, I'll just write my own. So I wanted to do like a funny, geeky, quirky version of a self-help book that would help people just be more creative in life, but also overcome things like anxiety and procrastination and fear of failure, all the stuff that holds me back that I've like learned how to get over. And I'm like, well, in writing the book, I'm a better person. So hopefully if somebody reads it, they'll be a better person too. Yeah,
that's one of the things I've never really connected with on self-help books. There's a lot of platitudes. There's a lot of like meme type moments.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of like meat. Like, okay, cool, you've got me motivated, but what do I actually do?
That is exactly what so the process of my book is very much like, I hate to say this, and I can say this because it's really a nerd show, so thank God I can really take the gloves off. Basically, you're building your character, like, as an RPG. The whole book is like, you kind of enter, you justify like why I need creativity, because you don't know why, you're not going to do it, right? You got to make it important, like I got to brush my teeth, right?
Sure.
And then it's like rebuilding your character from the ground up, so like examining your past and your present, making your history, and like finding what is my class? What do I want to say to the world? What kind of creator and what kind of creations do I want to make? And then there's a whole section where it's like, okay, you're suited up, you got to go take down your enemies. And there's like lots of pictures, like, hydras and unicorns and stuff in there, because, Felicia Day.
Right.
And then at the end, it's just like how to train yourself up, how to get to a goal, how to make your quest to get out into the world and actually make this thing happen.
You're here in LA, but you're from Alabama.
I know, we have that in common.
Right.
You have a bigger accent
Roll
than I do.
Tide.
My family was Auburn fans. I'm so sorry. Is this bad? My
We're done. Wrap it. So being a nerd in Alabama, not the easiest thing, right? Like deep South, Bible Belt.
I was homeschooled, so I really wasn't. I wasn't shunned by my peers.
Sure.
For anything until I became an adult. So I was kind of raised in sort of a greenhouse of nerddom, and I just did whatever I wanted, and I wasn't like I was really into all different things. I was a classical ballerina. I played violin. I loved math and science, and I loved also romance books and like detective noir books. Like old school, like Mickey Spillane and Ellery Queen and all that stuff. So I was able to just love what I love in a sort of a vacuum.
Sure.
And I think that there were some great things about that, but there were some bad things, because when I got into the real world, I was like, oh, I'm not normal.
Hi,
and then exactly. And I just was like, oh, should I cover this up? And I was like, nah, because this is me. So I guess it was good because I was strong enough in who I was that I wouldn't abandon. Because I think that's what a lot of people go through. They're like, well, I guess I have to stop doing this because people aren't supporting me or they're judging me for it. And that makes me sad. That's like my mission in life. I want to shore people's self-confidence up to be who they are. Because honestly, you're the only person who's going to be you.
Right.
So why are we like, let's stop being me to be something that somebody else will approve of?
Right.
Doesn't make any sense.
But you're right. It feels like that's the pressure that you feel, like I need to fit in.
Yeah.
Yet we want to be unique.
Well, I think there's a very strange thing, especially with kids as they grow up. There is this pressure to conform to fit in with the group, and it's sort of like this, I don't know what it is, if it's biological or it's just peer pressure and things like that. And all I know is that it forces a lot of kids, especially girls, to abandon things that they might be drawn toward. And it really makes me upset inside, because no one should betray who they are. Because you're right, as we get out of those kind of closed, controlling environments, the things that will make us different and soar and happy are the things that do make us, stand out.
Yeah.
Our uniquenesses, our weirdnesses. So like, why should go through your formative years abandoning those things when you can be cultivating them?
Sure. And I feel like the last, 10 years, geek culture has kind of become more mainstream. I don't know if that was the Big Bang Theory or like what is exactly the root cause of it, but it's okay now to be a geek. It's okay to be a nerd. So I think it's a lot easier for the generation, like my son, right? Like I'm cultivating him to be a nerd. That's just the way it is, right? Like, hey buddy, your dad designs and publishes board games. You're gonna be a nerd.
It's great.
And so it's fun to see people have more room to be themselves, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of even sounds like your books are even, like you're really pushing people in that direction, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, in everything I do, I wrote a memoir a couple years ago called You're Never Weird on the Internet Almost. And the reason I wrote this new book is because people would come up to me and they're like, hey, I saw your journey of being like this weird homeschool kid to like going to college way too early, to making videos in your garage, to becoming this sort of very prominent person in this world that I didn't even know about. So like, and people would say, hey, I started creating because of you. And I started getting help for my anxiety because of you. And like, I don't know, I make things because I came to Hollywood to be an actor. I wanted to be successful as an actor. But when you can see the direct correlation between your work and how it affects somebody else, that's what really always touches me and motivates me. And so I just wanted to make a book that kind of put it into the hands of other people.
Sure.
It was just more about them than me, because I talk plenty about myself.
We get that a lot in making a board game too, when you see somebody like snapping a selfie with them and their family around a board game, and you're like, oh, you just had an hour session of playing our game and we facilitated fun for your family. Like,
so awesome.
It is a very similar, I feel like, feeling of like knowing that you helped make that happen.
Yeah.
That kind of is a nice segue to Small World, right? As in, we're talking about like, why is this game here? And for you, this was one of the first games that you played that really brought strategic board games, Euro, German style type board games to the table for you, right?
Yeah, so I picked this game because it was the first episode of Tabletop.
Sure.
And Tabletop is a show that I created with my friend Will Wheaton that featured people playing board games, and it's that simple. And how that show came about is that I pitched a whole slate of web series to YouTube back in like 2012 or something like that. And they were funding all these businesses. And I was like, here are the shows that I want to do. And I had to call my friends to be like, what should I put in front of them?
Right.
And I thought of my friend Will, because he was in my show, The Guild. And also when we went to conventions over the years, I would see him disappear and play these board games with his friends. I'm like, well, that wasn't my thing,
Sure.
But I saw how much fun he was having. And so I called him up. And I initially wanted him to DM something because I love D&D. But he was like, no, let's do board games. And then we'll do this, and then we'll play every week, and then we'll show everybody how to play it. And he got so excited, I was like, oh, jackpot. Because if somebody's excited about something, that's what you need in web video, right?
Right.
And so the show kind of evolved into this sort of celebrities playing, these board games. And quite frankly, this wasn't my world necessarily. Like, I had played board games throughout my life. I had Life and Monopoly and Candyland and Chutes and Ladders. Like, I had the standard sort of Hasbro thing, not a big deal. But I'd never been exposed to the more intricate ones.
Right.
And so when I saw like this first game and I saw the edit come in, and I was like, oh, I was just hooked. I was not only hooked because I love strategy, and this is like the perfect, very simple but very appealing strategy game, but also I just saw the fun that everyone's having together. And I was like, I love playing video games, but board games seems like they're connecting people for real, and this is awesome. So it opened the door for me, like, not only producing that show, like dozens and dozens of episodes of that show, branching off into other games like Magic the Gathering and other, D&D and all those things. But it also just incorporated gaming in my life on a regular basis.
Yep.
I started having weekly game nights with my friends. We had like just so much more fun together because we had this vehicle to help get us together.
Well, Tabletop was, and I've seen this common thread amongst a lot of board gamers. I am a part of the renaissance of board gaming, right? Because I was Warcraft, my friends reached out to me, said, hey, come play board games.
Yeah.
Why would we play Monopoly? We don't play Monopoly, come play. I played a game, and then I went into the rabbit hole of board games, right?
Wow.
And Tabletop is one of the first things, like after I played, I think Power Grid and like the Spartacus game, you play and you're like, okay, well, let me learn more games.
Yeah.
And I found Tabletop.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was one of those things where it taught me games because I wanted to know if it was a game that I would like, but then it was so entertaining.
Yeah.
I still remember Cards Against Humanity.
Oh.
Aisha Taylor.
She's
is
really funny.
The most hilarious human.
Oh,
Like,
she's incredible.
I've watched that episode for fun many times just
that's
because
so
it's
great.
just so good.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that was a really important part, and because I think it was actually an advantage for Will and me to kind of work on the show, because he is deep in it. You know, he's played for his whole life, and not only on a casual level, but like just like he knows it all inside out. He has a passion for board games, and that's what really was the infection vector that made the show successful.
Right.
Nobody else could have hosted that show, right?
Right. Well, I think there's a question that I think everybody wants to ask about Tabletop. Like, what is the future of Tabletop? Is there any more episodes coming? What's happening there?
Yeah, so I left my company in 2017 because I was having a child, and I really just wanted to focus on my creative stuff, but I really wasn't able to do the creative stuff that I really wanted to do within
Like
the
the vlog.
confines. Yeah. Like the vlog, exactly. If I had just only been doing the vlog, that would be fine. But I was kind of turning into sort of administrator, and like it just wasn't as fulfilling for me.
Right.
And so having this like big force coming in and sucking all my time up in the name of my child, I was like, what do I have to get rid of to really be happy as a person?
Right.
And I needed creativity, and I needed to create things of my own, and I needed to raise my baby right.
Sure.
And so that kind of forced me to step aside from that company. Because Will and I are a tight team, he did not want to do the show without me.
Sure.
And so that was just kind of a decision that he made. Would I rule out one day Tabletop coming back in some form? I can't, because I would love to work with Will again, but there are a lot of logistical things that would have to happen, and yeah, I do miss it.
So there's also, in the name of you creating all the things and being busy doing all the things, you do a podcast.
Yes, I do a podcast, which is like, that's part of my creative itch being scratch. Yeah, it's called Voyage to the Stars. It's a improvised science fiction podcast. And me and Colton Dunn from Superstore and Janet Varney from Legend of Korra and my friend Steve Berg, who was in Dr. Horrible with me back in the day, and Kirsten Vangsness from Criminal Minds is joining us this season. And it's basically, we improv.
Sure.
We have like an outline for a story, and we kind of know where a beginning and an end in a scene is. And then we all just make up dialogue. And so it's like this really awesome rejoining of forces creatively, and yet I get to be kind of a creative force instead of just behind the scenes.
Right.
It's just, you know, my whole thing about web video was I had a playground, and I just made, if I had an impulse, like I love Magic the Gathering, let's make a show on Magic. I had the people around me to make it possible, and then I brought in celebrities who were friends of mine to be on there to get more eyeballs on this thing I loved.
Sure.
And so there isn't that really in the web anymore, but in podcast form, you can do that.
Sure.
And so it's our playground, and I hope to make more stuff like that in the future.
Well, it's funny, you're a serial content creator, right? Like you're everywhere
I won't stop.
making
I'm so
things.
sorry.
But I mean, that's what you're motivated to do, right?
I just have to be making something. I have to be creating, or I feel dead inside and sad.
Dead and sad. Nobody wants to be dead and sad. There is some sort of like crossover there between playing board games and having that connection with the people at the table and creating content, right? Because it's you walk away with this feeling of like you said earlier, like we were strangers, we were awkward. I still got a show that I want to make. I'm gonna go ahead and pitch my show right here to you and to the internet.
Okay, great.
I want to do an Anthony Bourdain-ish where I travel around and I go up to a complete stranger and I'm like, can I teach you this board game?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
And then we, like, to be able to physically show,
Yeah.
we went from awkward and someone going, that sounds weird, no, or maybe, and then we play it, and then by the end, see the change that happens over that hour of playing a board game.
That's really a cool idea. I like it.
All right, well.
Hire someone greenlight it. I don't have a company anymore.
One of the biggest things about this show, like the whole point we started at Starting Roll was, like, we needed a platform to screen board games from, right? Like we want you to play these. We make them. We'd love if you buy them. Like that keeps the lights on.
Well, I mean, to
But
me, you're helping independent creators.
Yeah.
You're supporting a person who is creative, who has a vision and just needs some help, right?
Yeah.
That's what, when we got like statistics back from like Tabletop or whatever, and like the sales would go like 900% or 9,000% even sometimes. Like, it just made me so happy because I knew it was a person in another state who's just trying to make something they love that isn't appreciated by everybody, and then more people can appreciate them.
Absolutely.
That really just fuels me.
It's like people that host the mystery dinner murder parties.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
People want to go to those things. They just don't know how to facilitate
How to
it.
get in there, yeah.
Right. So like, I hope that this show and shows like Tabletop, like if you haven't watched Tabletop, you should go back and watch all those episodes because you'll find a game, you'll find the interaction at the table, it'll fit your group.
It
right?
does. Yeah, you'll find something
There's a
that's your
game
flavor.
for you.
Yeah, everyone's just like, what? I don't know. My wife or my brother doesn't like board games. I'm like, okay, try blah 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 blah. Like entry,
Right.
Entry level kind of stuff.
Oh, we do this like 20 questions. I'm like, all right, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time?
Oh,
And,
it's like a personality quiz.
Do you like Sudoku?
Oh.
Okay. Do you like reading books? Because
Yeah.
if you like narratives, like there is a board game for you.
No, because it's not. Well, it's like anything niche. Like that's why I wrote the Guild in the first place, is because I love video games. I love gaming online with people, and yet Hollywood and general media shows us one kind of gamer.
Sure.
And I was like, oh no. Just because this is a niche thing doesn't mean there's one kind of person who likes this thing.
Right.
And so for board games, like most people's entry point is just that one kind of very commercial game, which is great. But like, just like I only knew about Monopoly and Life and all these other things, like when you get in there, they're like, oh, there's a different guy, it's a different flavor. It's like, oh, it's like telling somebody the ice cream shop has two, chocolate and vanilla, and you go into a gelato shop in like Italy, and you're like, oh, pistachio.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Or like seeing Joe Manganiello, big beefcake dude, right? Like
Yeah.
he's a huge nerd D&D guy.
Exactly,
right?
he's
Like,
really into it. He can beat you up.
there was a big Twitter thing this past little bit because
Oh, really?
there was some wrestler, I think it was talk trash about I don't play D&D.
Oh, I saw that guy.
And Joe Manganiello posted a picture of himself with his shirt off and he's like, and I do.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah!
That's pretty great. That's
was
pretty
great.
great. Yeah. I saw that guy. I was like, trash. Trash that guy.
Trash that guy. But I think there is connections there that we can help people find a board game that fits them, and they'll find a new way to interact with their family, their friends.
Yeah, any excuse to get offline. I mean, as somebody who lives in the online world, this was like a little bit ironic, but any excuse to really have face-to-face connection with people and kind of strengthen those ties with the people who are immediately around you, I think just healthier like you're gonna be.
Sure.
And so, yeah, it's nice to have 1,000 Facebook friends, but have those 8 people that are in your board game group and have that consistent, even if it's once a month or something, that's gonna make you a happier, more well-grounded person, I think.
Right. I mean, even moving here, going back to your point, like we had a parent PTA thing at a new school for Burbank.
Oh, wow.
And we roll out, and I see this guy wearing a D&D shirt, and I was like, "Beeline, I know who I'm going to talk to." I was like, "Hi, I'm James. I love D&D too."
Oh, that's so
And he was like,
amazing.
"Hi, I'm Ted." And you're just like, boom! Now we're up and talking. We're up and running.
Are your kids in the same school grade?
No, unfortunately no. But we still set up when I said I make board games, he was like, "Shut up, yeah, you do not." So it was just fun.
Oh,
right?
that's so great. Yeah.
But yes, can we just all wear board game nerd shirts?
We should all just wear a shirt with what we like. Oh,
On
wait,
it.
we all do that.
Wait, that is the thing already.
Yeah, that is a thing.
If you have a way to tell the person that's watching this, like, to be their most authentic self, really to bring this back full circle to your initial conversation, like, what is like the one thing that you want to tell them?
I mean, I guess I would tell people to, you got to brandish your weirdnesses. Like, they're your superpowers. So
Okay.
wear them on your sleeve, because like we're talking about, if you wear your weirdness on a sleeve, yeah, some people who don't get it might go away from you. But like we said, if somebody sees that and that's their type of weird, you're going to have an instant friend.
Yeah.
So really, it does help. It helps you assimilate with the right people.
Sure.
The people who will accept you for who you are, and then you'll feel strong enough with those other people to kind of get even the people who may not have understood it in on the group. So I guess that's my thing. And then
I like that idea.
I just feel like too many times we abandon the things that make us different, but what makes us different is really what makes us stand out and most happy in this
And what
life.
makes us happy?
Yeah.
I like the idea that if we group up with the people that like the thing that we like,
Yeah.
we can resonate enough that people who are just passing by are like, "What's that thing?
I
Can
mean,
I
yeah.
try that thing?" And you're like, "Yes, come try the thing."
It's really putting the platform out there. I mean, like, I guess 20 years ago, what it was like the superhero movies, superheroes were like very marginal, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody decided to make these awesome movies, and everyone's like, that's awesome. And
Yep.
now how much easier it is for a kid to be like, I love Spider-Man and I want to go buy comics, right?
Right.
So you just have to give a platform to something
Yeah.
and an entry point, and then you can, people really bloom.
I love it. I love it. So if people want to follow the Felicia Day, where can they follow you at on all the things?
People can follow me anywhere at Felicia Day. So
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you
and
very
I
much.
think we need to. I need to run some Ratman over there toward your elves.
No, I will not. I know. That's my elf voice.
That's it. My rat voice.
I
is
feel
on.
like we're rat on elf. This is the perfect overpopulation for this game.